Okay, so they basically you've cut earnings estimates by 3%, both for fiscal 15 and fiscal 16 consequently, looking at the numbers so far.
Yes.
I know earnings season is not
yes,
over so far, but usually numbers which come through later in the earnings season, are not great. They're kind of poor. I don't know if there is any design to it, but that's generally what we've seen. Some of the laggards report the last. But go on, you were saying you wanted to complete something.
Yeah, and as I said, on the sales front also there's a 2% cut.
Sales also there's a 2% cut. So what does it mean then for the market overall? Are we going to see any impact at all or no?
I think the market, that's why the reason why the market corrected from 8910 or about 8900, and we saw a pretty swift correction over last around 8 to 9 sessions, was essentially because of the earnings. Otherwise, if you look at the global cues, I think we are very close to arriving at some sort of an agreement between the warring factions in Ukraine and Russia, and the concerns on the Greece also sort of have abated to a large extent. So global cues continue to be positive. If you look at the inflation numbers, the macro numbers continue to look very, very positive from India's perspective. Yesterday's inflation numbers were quite benign. We are also looking at penciling in a rate cut after the budget, if not sort of certainly I think in the next meeting, but it could also be out of turn and sometime after the budget, a 25 basis point cut to start with, and followed by another 75 basis point cut over the next 12-month period. So in all, 100 basis point cut. We're looking at external environment that is extremely stable and extremely encouraging insofar as flows to India is concerned. If the ordinances get converted into laws, which is what the market is hoping for, then at least a $10 billion to $12 billion of money is waiting in the wings to come from the global insurance majors to hike their stake from 24 to 49%. We also sort of would once the coal auction goes through fairly soonly, maybe in a quarter or two, one could start seeing massive amounts of supply to come from the winners of the coal blocks, and hence the situation on the coal supply also could get eased as we go forward into FY16. So I think from the macro perspective and from the flows perspective, I think we are in a sweet spot currently, and the $70 billion of savings that we are going to accrue to the country because of near halving of crude prices will ensure that for the first time in, I would say, more than 10 to 12 or 15 years, will end up being current account surplus, because at 1.7% of CAD to the CAD 1.7% of GDP, that's roughly around, on an economy of $1.8 trillion, $36 billion. And the $70 billion of savings will ensure that we become massively current account surplus. So not only it will be a problem of plenty for the RBI governor, how to ensure that the rupee doesn't appreciate too much and make our exports uncompetitive. So from the medium term perspective, I think we are in for a sharp up move. And I personally feel that I think in the 3 to 4 year period, I won't be surprised if the market were to double from the current levels.
Okay, so ignore the noise, right? And but the point is, all those things are fine, and the market may do well. So I get, but you got to pay attention to the actual numbers as well. The budget is around the corner.
But then,
the only thing I'm watching out from the budget is what the government does in terms of its spending program, whether it increases its spending on infrastructure in a big way. Because otherwise, I think you'll continue to see this very slow growth. Because, the basic thing is demand is to come back, and where will demand come from?
Yeah, I think the government has, the policymakers have realized that the banking system is saddled with at least 12% of NPAs plus restructured assets, 5% of NPAs and roughly 7% of restructured assets, and hence cannot be at the vanguard insofar as a revival of investment cycle is concerned. The private sector is also saddled with massive amounts of debt. They are in the process of repairing their balance sheets by monetizing some of their assets or taking advantage of the buoyancy in the market, coming out with QIPs and correcting the debt equity ratios. Hence, the only player that has the wherewithal and can actually come to the forefront and help revive the investment cycle is the government. And hence the midterm economic review clearly indicated government's intention that they will have to come in and a 50 to 70,000 crores worth of program will have to be announced with specific allocations to sectors like road, railways, power, urban infrastructure. And I think the rating agencies also would tend to agree with the government as long as the government is able to convince them that the money will not be frittered away on revenue expenditure, but will be targeted only towards building of capital assets. So 4.1 in my opinion will be adhered to, but maybe that 3.6% the government might ask for a breather. But even that won't be required, Prashant, because of the massive savings on the fuel and fertilizer subsidies that has accrued to the government. So the government could sort of, utilize some of that largesse and divert into building capital assets.
Absolutely. The only thing is the finance minister yesterday said that the Delhi election loss will not stop us from undertaking economic reforms which we had promised. Now, what is the definition of economic reforms? Is it reforming the spending spree which the current government, when it was in the opposition, alleged the last government of doing, spending spree leading to uncontrolled fiscal deficit? So does economic reform meaning lowering fiscal deficit even further? Can the government undertake this spending program without raising the overall level of fiscal deficit? Some say yes, you got lots of savings from oil, etc. So I think those are questions, the maths of it we'll need to see when the budget is presented. But
I'll also
I just wanted to ask you,
I'll also
in terms of specific sectors, right, what would you really focus on? If we were to assume that the government will spend, what do you think we will spend on? What are the recipients of that capital going to be?
Yeah, I think there will be 2 or 3 broad themes I would advocate investors into playing with a medium-term perspective. One, all of us know that the interest rates have already started coming off, and expectation is that the inflation remaining benign, and hence interest rates coming off by 100 basis points at least over a 12-month period. Hence, what are the sectors that will benefit from the fall in interest rates? So all the cyclicals and interest rate sensitives which will benefit from a fall in interest rates should form part of your portfolio. So there I think auto companies come into play. I would also look at the CV cycle revival. Some of the commentary coming from capital goods companies is indicating that the green shoots are already visible in a few sectors, mining being one of them, because all the encumbrances that were put in by the Honorable Apex Court are receding in many states, and hence the mining activity is picking up. The coal auctions will simply give a leg up to the improvement in mining activity, which will have its impact directly on the MCV and HCV players. And hence Tata Motors, being the largest player in the sector, is one that I'll look at, although I do know that a majority of its revenues do come from the JLR pie. But they have been losing heavily on the Indian business, and that hemorrhaging will come off significantly as the MCV, HCV sales pick up. And so that is a bet that one can take with a medium-term perspective. Also, Maruti Suzuki is what we are asking investors to look at, with a strong expectation of improvement in volumes, especially in the second half of the next financial year. On the defense side, we believe that the Make in India initiative, if it has impact, there are 2 sectors, defense and railways, where the government will give tremendous thrust, and there Bharat Forge stands apart from the other players as a beneficiary in case of the defense orders coming its way, in addition to the fact that its main business in forgings is doing very well in America and expected to get a leg up as the CV cycle picks up in India. Motherson Sumi is the other company where we are very positive on the auto ancillary space. The other beneficiary of falling interest rates will be the capital goods sector. I think although the current quarter's numbers were lackluster in many cases, but I think Larsen & Toubro and Cummins stand out as 2 players which will benefit disproportionately from any improvement of the investment cycle, and they also have presence in various subsectors of the economy, or get sort of a push from various process industries, and hence as the process industries start looking up, these 2 companies will benefit. 45,000 crores worth of road projects are expected to be announced by NHAI and various state governments before the end of the current financial year, and 75,000 to 80,000 crores worth of road projects will be announced in FY16. Now we have to look at companies that will be beneficiaries from this massive number of orders that are expected to be bid out, and they are going to bid out on the EPC basis and not on the BOT basis, because of the fact that the players have pleaded with the government that because of large debt levels that they have, they would rather go in for projects on the EPC basis, construct them and give them back to the government. And the government wants to ensure that the pace of road building quickens sharply. So this is one sector we could look at. Ashoka Buildcon is a company which we feel will be ideally placed along with Larsen & Toubro to take advantage of this massive build-up in the road sector that will happen in the next 15 to 18. The banking sector cannot remain sort of away from if there's a revival in the investment cycle. And there I think we were betting on HDFC Bank. It has done quite well for us. But I think at some point in time, I think ICICI Bank also needs to be looked at, especially with the fact that 5% of the ICICI, the largest subsidiary ICICI Pru Life, is looking to monetize at $6 billion valuation. And hence SBI also has a very large life insurance business. So we also need to look at SBI with a medium-term perspective, in my opinion.
All right, got that, Ajay. Exhaustive. Thanks very much for that. Great talking to you as always. Appreciate you coming in. Thank you. Take a break right now.